Okay, so here we are. We're going to be going over today how to make these engraved metal tags. So this is just me doing this as a crafter. I am not a professional and I am not a professional instructor. And these are just playing around and figuring it out together. So what I'm using, I purchased these off of Amazon and they're metal stamping blanks. Here's a blank one. This one is in rose gold. And I elected to get the one that had the 2 holes on either side so that I can either hopefully find rivets that are small enough to keep it in place on the bag, or I can sew it each side and sew it into place. I also have these pronged versions. I got these off of Etsy. They are about 1.5 inches wide and a little over 1/2 inch tall, but they are quite scratched up. So I would not recommend the shop, so I'm not going to share it. But these are available through Etsy and from other suppliers like Alibaba, but I think you have to buy a ton of them. Last night, I also went to Joann's in hopes of finding something for everyone that would be instantly available. We're going to try this out together today. And these are little dog tags right here. But the problem is they only have one hole at the top. And so I don't know. I mean, it would be kind of cute, maybe like on a camo bag to have it hanging from the top there. So let's see here. These ones are 1¼ inches by 3/4 inches, and somewhere I have the package. They were over by the jewelry area, and they have the impression tools. They're called metal stamping blanks. And that's what you can find them on Amazon as well. So let's get started. So I'm using Cricut. And if you can't see my screen for some reason, raise your hand and I'll go back and look at it and see what's going on. I'm going to go to a new project. And we're going to use text. I should also mention, in case people are popping into this late, that we're using the metal engraving tool today, and that's what we're going to go over. So I want to add text, and the name of my business is Charming Cheek. So I want to do 2 lines of text so that I can manipulate a little bit easier than having a hard return and then 1 simple text box. So I'm going to do each line of text in its own text box. So the first word is charming. Instead of a cut, I want to use the engrave tool. When you do that, it pops up the font as an outline. And I don't want it to be an outline, but you might want to for whatever you're working on. So the font is right now Cricut Sans and the style is regular. I want to change this to writing. And when I do that, it removes that second outline. This is an okay font, but it's not one that I want to use. I'm going to change it. And I'm going to filter my fonts for writing fonts, those that look the best in writing style. And I like to have 2 styles of font. I like to have one that's almost an old-fashioned typewriter serif type font. And then I like a second one that is more script. This one is cute. So I'm going to play with this for a second. Now, because I don't want to have to go through all of these settings again, I'm going to copy this, but I'm noticing that when I changed that font, it changed my operation to a pen. I don't want a pen, I want engrave. Okay, so just that's something to look for. It happened to me the first time I did it as well. So I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to double click because now I want to change to the second word of my business name, which is cheek. Charming Cheek. So this looks cute. I mean, I actually kind of like this, but let's, for the sake of argument, let's do a different font. So my filter is still on for writing. I can see that because all of those words were writing here. It tells you what kind of a font it is here. So I'm going to go through and scroll and see if I can find a font that when I'm envisioning how it would look kind of engraved would be legible and easy to see. I don't want something that's super wonky like this. I like this one. I think I like this one. Let's make it bigger so we can get a better idea of it. I don't like this one because I don't want this double engrave option. So let's find a different one. That's my tip too, is make sure you make it big enough to see it, to work with it first. I don't like that one either. I should, if I were smart and not wasting your guys' time, I would have figured out which one I liked from the beginning. You know what? I don't like this. I'm going to go back and delete this, and I'm just going to duplicate this because I liked how it looked when it was all the same font. So double clicking again, changing the word. And let's see, I wonder if we could put a flower in there. I'm going to search for a flower. Try this one. I don't know, it's going to work. We'll see. We're just playing around together today. I feel like Bob Ross. We're just happy little trees. All right, and I want to change this to engrave. We can do pictures. That's fun. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Okay, now I need to remember what it is that I'm working with. So on the pronged example, I was saying that that one is about 1.5 inches, and it's 6/8 of an inch tall. So I'm going to, sorry, I forget that I've got you guys listening as I'm trying to think about all this. I'm trying to make this smaller so that it will all fit together. And I'm going to take these two images, and I'm holding down my shift key while I'm clicking on them, and I'm going to align them centered horizontally. I had already gotten it pretty close. So now I'm going to select all of these things here, holding down my shift key and selecting on each one, and I'm going to choose attach. If I don't do that, it will spread it all over my mat when it goes to engrave it. Now they're all one object, and now I can see the overall size of all three of those things grouped together. I can see that it's 2.1 inches wide by 0.836 inches tall, and I need it to be 1.45 inches wide. Because I have my locked aspect ratio on, it will automatically size it to the height that is appropriate. If I wanted to make it a little bit shorter, because I know that I'm at just over 1/2 inch is the size of my tag, and I don't want it to run off the top of my tag, then I will undo the aspect ratio, and I will make this just a little bit shorter so that 0.5 will fit perfectly. So there we are with that one, and let's go ahead and make it. I'm going to save so I don't have to do this again. Because every now and then when you use your mat, Cricut Design Space is notorious for just being a little bit wonky sometimes. So save before you go to make it. So now I'm going to go to make it. And I have already prepared my mat before you guys joined me. And I have attached it with my, this is my super sticky mat, my super strong grip. This one is from Hobby Lobby. It's not the Cricut brand, but it works just as good. And you get a 2-pack for, I think, $13. And a lot of times they have them on sale for 50% off. So it's a better deal. I used medical tape from the first aid section of the store. It's kind of like a cloth feeling tape. It's ribbed. This works really good. This is Johnson & Johnson, and I got that tip from Okla Roots. She uses it on her embroidery projects, and it works really great. So your mat has a grid, and I know that I have placed this tag right at this the line at the 6 mark here. So I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to drag it. So in real life, not on my screen, my tag is on, let's see if I can get it on the camera. Sorry, I'm not set up perfectly, but that tag, trust me, here, going backwards, is on the 6 mark. Okay, and it's right in the dead center. To get it on the grid mark was easy on the bottom. I just used the grid mark. To make sure that it was perfectly centered, I used my seam guide, and I just made sure it was 1/4 inch from each side. So I'm looking at this. I know that the R and the M, the space in between there is about the center mark. There's probably ways to get this much more precise. This is just how I'm doing it. So I've got it where I want it. I'm going to choose continue. And it's going to tell me, number one, I have to turn my machine on. Warming up. So I've loaded it in clamp B, and I'll see if I can't turn my laptop around so you guys can see. This is the engraver tool. It doesn't have a blade. It has this little nub in here, and it's in this housing. This comes as one unit, and I think you can get replacement ends for when you wear down the engraver, but this is one unit. So let me see if I can. Again, sorry, I'm not a professional. Okay, so this is the tool, and I'm just going to pop it in here into this housing. You close the metal side, and then you bring the second part of the clamp in place. Okay, and it needs to select, it needs to connect. So I'm telling it that it's my Bluetooth maker. It found it. Now it wants to know, well, what material are you engraving? So I'm going to choose browse all materials, and it is automatically going to compatible. It will only show me the things that are compatible with an engraving tool. I'm coming down here and I'm just calling this brass. And done. And just like when you're cutting, you just hit the flashing C. Everybody cross your fingers. And it does tell you on the screen there, I'm sure you've already noticed, it says tool may lift and spin. I was surprised how fast it went. The first time I did it, I thought it might take a little bit longer. And on our second one that we cut, once everybody starts joining me for the conversation, I'm going to try to run it twice and see if I can't get a deeper engraving. I can see, I don't know if you guys can pick it up on camera or not, but the tag is kind of tilting a little bit. This time when I tacked this one down with the tape, I only used the prongs. I didn't tape down the tag itself. So we'll see how that turned out. It's done. So I'm going to unload my mat. And it looks good. Hold on, let me turn it here. So let me see. I'm going to take it off the mat and see if I can show you guys on the camera. It looks good. It's a, well, no, it's good. It was centered fine. I don't know if this is going to show up or not. Let's try. Don't know if you, can you guys see that okay? So it's pretty faint on here on this kind of tag. And I know a couple of folks have joined in late. We're going to be going over a few different styles of tags. These are the tags I got on Etsy. So this is okay. It looks pretty good, but it's very faint. So I think next time I'm going to try to go over that again. And I was also telling the gals who were here a little bit earlier that I have discovered that I like how the tags feel with the UV resin on top, because using this Cricut engraving tool, they are rough. So you can feel where that engraving happened. I don't know if it's like that with the laser tags that you order, but on the Cricut, it is a little bit rough. So our plan was that we were going to go through one completely start to finish, and then I was going to open up the mics and questions and answers while we kind of play together and finish our next projects. So we're going to go through this all again. Does anybody have any questions so far?
Yeah, I have two questions. One, do you think that running it twice is better than adjusting the pressure?
I think so. Because I am crossing my fingers and hoping that that selection when I'm selecting the material is the right one. I don't want to mess with it too much. But I think once you kind of run it through once like I did, maybe the pressure is the right way. I've just always been a fan of the recut or the rerun. If you all have not done that before, the trick is that the machine, once it finishes whatever you're doing, cutting, writing, whatever, it will tell you to unload your mat. But if you ignore that flashing load, unload button, and you just hit the Cricut button again, it will go exactly over your first step. But that trick doesn't work if you unload your mat, because your mat will come in at a different speed and be just a little bit off from where it started the first time. But as long as you don't unload it, you can go right back over it again. So I don't think there's a wrong way or a right way, but let's try it. Okay. And then you said you had a second question?
Yeah, I wonder what it would do with the thicker font.
Well, let's try it.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll outline the font or will it, I don't know what it'll do.
I don't know. Let's play and try and find out, because I've got lots of time this morning and lots of blanks. So we'll figure it out. If anybody else has questions, you can pop in at any time. I do, for those of you who came in late, it will be recorded. So if you pop in, then your voice is going to be recorded, and I'm sharing this so that everybody can see it. All right, so let's try this again. And let's choose a font, text, and here, I'm going to do one since you had the question. Where did it go? I will say that I have a new laptop, and I have not been super excited about how Cricut Design Space has been behaving on here. So let's try again. I'm checking the spelling of your name. Okay. See what I mean? It's been disappearing like really far down. I'm going to move this. I'm doing Control Z over and over again until I get back to here. Now I'm going to double click in here since it's not playing nice. I'm going to detach so I can get rid of this. Okay. Juan, is there a particular font that you like? Do you know?
I'm just curious to see, like,
should we try this rubber ducky?
It does, like, you know, with the rubber ducky.
Yeah, okay, let's try that. Oh, it just made
so
it.
It turns it into a writing then, not quite. Okay.
Yeah, and again, it changed it back to this pen operation. I'm not sure why it's doing that. I wonder if we do, well, let's tell it that we're doing engrave. It's only going, no, yeah. So
well, it's good to know, you know.
It is good to know. It's unfortunate. Maybe they'll fix that. Maybe if we send in a, you know, kind of a request, maybe they can fix it.
Well, I know. Okay, so there's a trophy shop nearby, and they have a plate where they can put some kind of a liquid on it. You buff it, and then where you engrave, I think underneath it's a silver substrate. So where you engrave, it turns black. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. So my friend has a, her family owns a trophy and engraving shop, and I've been begging her to try to start doing these tags. But yeah, I told her there's a huge demand for these. You have no idea. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to, let's try this one. And it's interesting that it keeps, you know, when you change the font that it goes back and changes.
But the outline's kind of wonky.
It is kind of wonky. I don't like it. So let's, this one is not nice. This one isn't good at all. So it does appear that you're going to need to play with the different fonts because they're not all created the same. So so I like this one. This one's cute. I'm going to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to change my letter spacing. So I'm just going over things that you all may know already, but in case you don't, here's how you change how far apart the letters are. Whenever we're using cursives and our letters have tails, we want to make sure that we are, I'm going to make this big so I can work with it, that our tails kind of connect into the letters. This is going to be a little bit trickier than it is with typical font because we don't have the thickness of the font to hide where our tails come in and out. This one might be hard because that one is, I'm going with a different one. I'm going different. Again, if you guys are busy today, oh, I like that. That's cute.
It's fun.
That's fun. Okay. Feel free to pop out if you need to go do something. You can also ungroup to letters. That now means that your letters are individual objects and you can no longer use the font window to change your letters, but then you can kind of get the positioning around the way you like it. I would like this end just a little bit smaller. So I'm resizing, I'm able to resize that letter since they are ungrouped. Okay, and I like how this looks, so I'm going to attach these together. And let's find a different image. Do you have an image that you want one?
No, not anything particular.
Okay. Flip flog, that's a whole different thing. Oh, actually, I don't like this. I want this to be a little bit wider. So that curve follows the bow a little bit better. All right, I'm gonna stop playing now. Okay, so let's, we need to take this and tell this that it's an engraved object as well. Okay. Okay, I think we can all agree that this does not be the way that we would want our tag to be permanently, but we're just playing. Okay, so I need to select these both by holding down my shift key and attaching them. Now I can move it. Now my little tiny guy, my little 2-hole deal, I need to measure that. This one in between the 2 rivets is about 7/8. So I need this to be 7/8. Smaller. I'm going to increase my zoom here so I can see it. Anybody know the fraction for 7/8? I don't math. I craft.
875. I think it's 875.
Okay. So let's do 0.7 just to be safe. And the height of it is, at the tallest, it's about 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to call this good. Okay, so let's go to make it. And this time for this little guy, I have it down on the 11 mark. Sorry, I can't tell what you guys can see. And I put the bottom of it underneath the line so that it doesn't kind of fall off because I didn't curve the text to match the curve of the tag. So I'm going to load it in here. And this one is between the 4 and the 5 grid. So it's sideways, it's down here, or between those two, and I need to bring it down till it's on the 11 mark. I moved my tag kind of down below this 11 mark, so I don't need to worry about moving my font down. My font, I want it to be right on that same line. That looks about centered to me. Again, there's probably a way to make sure you can get this. I know if we did a square, a 1-inch square, or a 2-inch square. And then we centered our text within that 2-inch square. It'd be easier to line it up rather than eyeballing, but I don't really think it matters that much. You're not going to really see it. And this time we're going to run it twice. If you haven't been into one of my previous Zooms, the reason why I love using my Cricut is because I have essential hand tremors and sometimes my hands shake, and today is a shaky hand day. Continue. So when I'm cutting things like the pocket pal and the purse pal, it drives me insane when I try to do that with a straight, steady hand. So I'm going to browse all materials because I need to tell it what it is. And I'm choosing metal. Why did it not? I'm going to do cancel. I don't know what's going on. Let's go back and look at our, it's saying multiple, that's why. So we need to make it all engraved. For some reason it picked up that, I think that little guy that we put in there. And actually, you know what? If I'm going to make this, I don't like that sun. I'm taking the sun out. Right then I was trying to click on the sun, and again, Design Space was being wonky. I don't know why I was doing that. Okay, so I need to be between the 4 and the 5. Double checking again. Yep, between the 4 and 5 and down at the 11 mark. And it looks good. I'm going to continue.
I think you're between 5 and 6 there, Crystal.
Was I? Thank you for telling me. You guys, I need you here often because I do that kind of stuff all the time. I was between 5 and 6. Thank you. I am famous for doing things like that. Okay, now we want to browse all materials, and now it's going to tell us. So I just use bronze again. Or brass. Should we try? Let's try stainless steel and see what happens the first time it cuts. And it's telling me to flash my. And then for this one, once it's done, we will do the resin.
That silver plate that you're engraving on looks like a pretty good quality. I've seen some that are really pitty, you know, like pit marks and stuff.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it does. And what made me sad is it's not available through that Amazon link I used anymore.
oh.
So this is really, it looks good. It's just very faint. So I'm going to hit that Cricut button again. And this is, I don't know if we can see how thick it is, but it's quite thick. It's not flimsy. Now I wish I would have ordered more. This one from Joann's, well, it's thick too. That's much better. It's easier to see it. Tempted to do it one more time. Let's do it one more time. I'm surprised at how fast it engraves. I'm not sure about you guys, but I thought it would take a lot longer. The only thing I wish I had done is moved the name kind of up towards the top a little bit more. And there are templates that you can use that help you position things in the right place. I didn't see any for tags, but I could look again and see. I'm not sure if you guys have used that function or not. Okay. I'm gonna unload. And I'm gonna move my Cricut out of the way so that I can show you guys the UV resin. So just pulled it off. And I'm gonna try to show it to you. Wish I had a better camera setup. Can you see it?
If you don't share your screen, we'll get a big picture of that.
Let me try that. Okay, I'm gonna move my laptop. Okay.
Better.
Okay, good. Can you see it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I wish I had done it a little bit higher, obviously, and kept in mind how that circle was going to look next to it. So it definitely could have been centered a little bit better, but you guys can play around with it. Okay, so let's talk about the UV resin. Because this is engraving, it's scratching it in there. You can feel that texture, and I don't really like that. So if you weren't here at the beginning, I did one on the metal plate, these kind that have the little prongy guys, and I just put some UV resin on top of it, and it took out all those little scratches and just made it feel nice. So to do UV resin, move my little T card. Okay, so you need one of these, and it's for gel nails, and I got this from, you guessed it, Amazon. And UV resin is different than regular resin in that you don't have to mix it. It comes right out of the bottle. And I'll put a link into the video. The name brand looks like Lamino, but it's almost like the first thing that pops up when you look on Amazon for it. So I'm going to put this tag down. And it's thick when it comes out. And so it naturally keeps kind of that doming. I think that's the official name, is doming. So I'm going to put a puddle on here. I'm just going to use the only thing I'm worried about is those holes for the connecting it. So I'm kind of trying to avoid putting it on that. So I'm squeezing a little out and just moving the puddle around. And if you were doing this for reals, for keeps, then you would want to use some kind of like a torch or a heat lamp or something to break up the bubbles, or a lighter. But I don't have that set up today. So I've put it on there. I know you guys can't see it. Sorry. If I move it, then it'll fall off the edge. Now I put this light on here, and I'm going to hit 90 seconds. And then that's going to run for, you guessed it, 90 seconds. Check it and see if it's still tacky. I'll run it for another 90 seconds, and then that resin will be set. So it's not like regular resin where it takes 4 hours to.
But I saw that you dripped it on, kind of smush it around with the nozzle. You wouldn't brush it on?
No, I don't. You don't really need to. That technique works just fine.
Okay.
There are times where I've used my silicone. All my epoxy stuff is in a different room. I sometimes will use my silicone spreader to get it on different types of things, but I've not had to do that for this. This is the same technique if you do shrink plastic, like shrinky dinks, and make little charms. You can use that nozzle. You can just use the nozzle too. And it's so thick that it wants to stay put. It doesn't run off too much. So my next Amazon foray is going to be for little tiny rivets. I have some little ones from Sally Tomato. But I think, let me go grab them real quick. I think these are going to be way too big. I have these little itty bitty tiny ones from Sally Tomato. Let's see if they fit in that hole. They don't, they're way too fat. So sewing it on looks like it's going to be the only option. Unless you did a jump ring, I guess, and then attach the jump ring. We need rivets that aren't just smaller heads, but smaller posts. Does anybody know if they have those? So.
Yeah, I've got them on Amazon.
Oh, you did?
Let me see if I can find the link and I'll share it on this post on the group.
That would be
page.
great.
I'm
That
pretty
would
sure
be great.
where I got them from. The first time I got them from Alibaba and it took forever to get them. But the second time I got them on Amazon. So I'll look up the order and share it.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay, so this is a little bit tacky. You can leave your UV resin out in the sun and it will cure as well. Just takes longer. It's a little bit tacky, so I wouldn't mess with it, but see, I'm rubbing my finger on it and it's set. So I wonder if I can mirror my video. Video settings. Oh, there, I switched to size. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, and then let me see if I can show you the dome.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to do it, but you can see that little lip of epoxy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can really see it on the whole area. So now it feels nice. And it makes it easier to read that etching. How it will hold up on a bag, I don't know. But I use it on my tumblers all the time and it seems to hold up fine. Okay, what would you guys like to go over next? Do you want to try that little tag from Joanne's? Or is everybody good?
Just want to clarify, you said you used the super sticky mat, not the standard.
Correct. Yes, I use the
Even with
strong
taping down.
Yep, a strong grip mat. Yep. I would not use the regular one. And I would not use a super sticky mat that you'd used a bunch of times. On this one, I used it on leather or faux leather before. And so this is an area I would avoid sticking my tag down in. Sorry, because I know that that's not quite as sticky as the other areas on my mat. Because that engraver puts a lot of pressure on there and it would be easy for it to drag it right off of the mat. So,
Okay.
And I've seen other YouTube tutorials where they put pie servers on here, like that you get, for a wedding that have the pretty handles. And they put that right here at the bottom and then they run that through and then put in like the couple's wedding date or whatever. So, not just for bag tags. Okay, does anybody want me to do the dog tag from Joanne? Or are we good to go?
No, I think it's the same process.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay.
I would imagine if we got acrylic tags that would probably be the same process too. Right?
Yeah, and it looked like, let's go back and look at our options here. This might, oh, you guys aren't sharing my screen anymore. Let me share with you. So it looked like when we were doing, when we went to make it, that it gave us that list of compatible materials. Let's go through and look at those together. It's weird that craft board. And glitter cardstock would be like, why would you need that with an engraver? But I thought I saw acrylic. Yeah, acrylic is on here.
Nice.
So, oh, and look, you can record your own records. So if you do that, Bev, would you post a picture and let us see how it turned out?
You're well.
Okay, good. Alrighty. Okay, well, I'm gonna end it, and this is gonna be available afterward. So everybody can join in my wonky instruction style. And if you guys make the tag, tag me, because I would love to see how your project would turn out. Again, I
Real
don't
quick
think
question. That
Yeah.
UV resin, was that through Amazon?
Yep, and it's Lamino. Let me show you.
The black bottle, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hard type.
hard type, yep.
It works really well. I've used this for quite a few things. Oh, it does smell really bad though. So not the best in your house. It's better outside, but anyway. Okay,
right,
well,
thank you,
thanks,
Crystal.
guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Crystal.
You're welcome. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.